In the bustling city of Lagos, there was a notorious group of young men known as the Elon Musk boys. They were the kings of extravagance, living by their mantra, "Every day is a day to chop life." These boys rarely spent a night at home, hopping from one luxurious hotel to another, driving flashy cars they could barely afford, and switching girlfriends as often as they changed clothes. At the center of the group was Ekon, their charismatic and cunning leader. By day, Ekon and his crew lounged in his sprawling mansion, but it wasn't all leisure. Ekon and his boys were master scammers. Their operations spanned the globe, involving cyber fraud, 419 schemes, and romance scams that preyed on lonely older women abroad, weaving false promises of love. This life of deceit funded their insatiable thirst for luxury. But fate is a silent hunter. Their next journey, planned with the same nonchalance as the ones before, would not end as they expected. Ekon was the eldest of 6 children living with their single mother, Mama Ekon. Life had not been kind to them since the tragic loss of their father. Mama Ekon, a resilient woman, bore the weight of caring for her 6 children alone. Her days were consumed by endless toil, selling moi moi at the market during the day and cleaning homes through the long hours of the night. Ekon, only 15 at the time, would often lie awake at night, listening to his mother's muffled sobs as his younger siblings slept soundly. On one such night, he heard her whisper through tears, "Oh God, I am tired. I don't know how much longer I can go on." Her words pierced his heart. That night, Ekon vowed to change their fate. The next morning, after their family's morning devotion, Ekon made a bold decision. He left home, determined to help his mother, though it meant stepping into the very world she had always warned him about. He ventured into the streets, mingling with the boys from the mainland ghettos, boys his mother had labeled as troublemakers. These boys loitered in abandoned buildings, smoking and drinking. They lived hand to mouth, picking pockets in crowded markets and engaging in petty theft. Ekon joined them, but deep down, he knew this life could never be the solution. Months passed, and the meager gains of street life barely sustained him. One day, as he watched the boys around him laugh and waste time, a realization struck him. If he stayed, he would never escape poverty. He took the little money he had secretly saved, bought a smartphone, and began searching the internet every night for ways to make money. He scoured forums, watched videos, and learned about the world beyond the confines of his reality. 3 years passed, and though he worked tirelessly, nothing seemed to work. By the time he turned 18, desperation drove him to a new path. Ekon began chatting with older single women abroad. Using charm and clever words, he built relationships online. Soon, the money started trickling in. With his newfound income, Ekon started providing for his family. He bought groceries, paid the bills, and even convinced Mama Ekon to quit her night job. As the money grew, so did Ekon's ambitions. He bought himself an iPhone 13 Pro Max, dressed in expensive clothes, and became the envy of his peers. His former friends from the ghetto, who had once mocked his determination, now flocked to him, begging for his secrets. "Show us the way, bro," they pleaded. Ekon moved out of his family's cramped home and rented a spacious apartment of his own. With time, he began teaching his old friends how to scam online platforms. Their schemes paid off, and soon they were making large sums of money. They transformed into Lagos big boys, moving to the affluent neighborhoods on the island and living lives of luxury. One day, Mama Ekon couldn't contain her curiosity. "My son," she said, her voice filled with both pride and concern. "Tell me, what kind of work do you do that brings you so much wealth?" Ekon smiled gently and replied, "Mama, haven't you prayed all your life for divine intervention? How can you doubt what God is doing now? Have you not suffered enough?" Mama Ekon sighed deeply. "I know, my son. I am grateful for God's blessings, but as your mother, it's only right that I know what you truly do. A mother's heart never rests until she's certain of her child's path." Seeing the worry etched on her face, Ekon softened his tone. "I run an online business. I have a team of workers who assist me." As time went on, Ekon and his group became the talk of Lagos social circles. They moved with a swagger that only money could buy, splurging in high-end clubs, flaunting expensive cars on social media, and taking women on extravagant shopping sprees. Their flashy lifestyle earned them the nickname Elon Musk boys because no one ever saw them working regular jobs. Whenever they were out in public, They were glued to their phones, sparking rumors and curiosity. One morning, Mama Ekon called Ekon. "Ekon, please come home. I need to see you." Without hesitation, Ekon drove to the family house in his latest Ferrari. As he pulled up to the modest compound, his younger siblings ran out to greet him, their faces lighting up with excitement at the sight of their big brother and his luxurious car. Mama Ekon stood at the doorstep, her hands clasped together, her eyes filled with both pride and unease. "I'm happy you came quickly. I needed to talk to you about something important." "Yes, Mama," Ekon said, lowering himself slightly so he could meet her gaze. "My son, I'm worried about the path you're taking. I see how you live, and I hear the things people are saying. There are rumors, Ekon, rumors that you and your friends are into Yahoo+. They say some of these boys use women for money rituals, that they've given themselves to dark things for riches. I know you, my son, and I know you're not like that. But how will others see you if you keep walking with bad company?" Ekon opened his mouth to protest, but Mama Ekon raised a hand, stopping him. "You know I only want what's best for you. My son, life is more than flashy cars, money, and parties. It is about building something meaningful, something lasting. I want you to settle down, to find a good woman, to focus on family and faith. Don't forget the lessons I taught you when you were younger. Jesus is the only one who truly cares for you, Ekon. Don't let the cares of this world take you away from his love. I will try and look for a woman to marry. You know I'll do anything for you." The rumors were true, inspiring awe and envy among the young men in the area. Many, desperate to emulate Ekon's success, sought out herbalists engaging in blood sacrifices and dark rituals for quick riches. But despite Ekon's newfound wealth, he remained without a decent woman in his life. Instead, he surrounded himself with his gang, a group bound by loyalty and a shared hunger for power. Ekon's need for protection led him to welcome more young men into his gang, expanding his influence, but also entangling him deeper in the web of danger and deceit. By day, they worked tirelessly at their laptops, and by night, they painted the town red. Lavish parties, expensive clubs, and women eager to bask in their wealth. With each passing day, Ekon drifted further from the God-fearing boy his mother had raised. But even in his waywardness, he never lost his respect for his mother. One fateful Sunday morning, Mama Ekon attended church, as was her habit. During the praise and worship session, she was deeply moved by the voice of Chioma, a young woman whose devotion shone brightly. Watching Chioma, Mama Ekon felt a stirring in her heart, a hope that this young lady could be a positive influence on her son. After the service, she approached Chioma with a warm smile. "My daughter, I've been observing you in church. You are devoted and carry yourself with grace and humility. I would love for you to visit me whenever you're free. I believe your love for God could be a blessing to my children, especially my eldest son. I'll visit when I have the time." True to her word, Chioma visited Mama Ekon a few days later. On that same day, Mama Ekon had sent for Ekon, knowing it was an opportune moment for them to meet. When Chioma arrived, Ekon was in the middle of a conversation with his mother. The moment he looked up and saw Chioma, something stirred within him, an instant connection. Ekon, accustomed to loud, flashy women from the city, was struck by Chioma's modesty and grace, and he knew immediately that she was the kind of woman his mother would approve of. "Welcome, dear," Mama Ekon said warmly. "How is your mother? This is my eldest son, Ekon." Chioma greeted him with a polite smile and sat down, her composure elegant yet approachable. Ekon, captivated, couldn't take his eyes off her. Mama Ekon, sensing the chemistry, decided to step aside. "Ekon, why don't you take Chioma to the mall and get something for us to eat?" Ekon didn't hesitate. He escorted Chioma to his brand new Ferrari, an extravagant symbol of his wealth. As they drove through the bustling streets, their conversation flowed naturally. Chioma found herself drawn to Ekon's charm and sincerity, which seemed to peek through his rough exterior. Ekon, in turn, was fascinated by Chioma's perspective on life and relationships. At the mall, their joy was infectious. Strangers smiled as they passed, sensing the spark between the two. For the first time in years, Ekon felt something deeper than fleeting attraction. He realized he wanted more than the hollow lifestyle he had been living. One evening, they arrived at a luxurious hotel. Chioma noticed Ekon's peculiar smile. Before she could ask what was going on, he blindfolded her with a silk scarf, laughing softly at her protests. "Trust me," he whispered. When the blindfold was finally removed, Chioma found herself on the rooftop. To her surprise, Ekon's friends were there, dressed sharply in designer suits, their faces glowing with excitement. But Chioma barely noticed them, because Ekon was on one knee, holding out a sparkling diamond ring. "Chioma, will you marry me?" he asked, his voice trembling with emotion. Tears filled Chioma's eyes as she nodded vigorously. "Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes!" Cheers erupted from the crowd as Ekon slipped the ring onto her finger. However, as the night unfolded, Chioma began to feel uneasy. Ekon's friends, though welcoming, were loud and rowdy. They smoked, drank, and danced wildly with women Chioma didn't know. She sat quietly beside Ekon, her discomfort evident. "Why are your friends so loud? They're just having fun. Don't worry about them, Chioma. Focus on me, okay?" She nodded hesitantly, but a seed of doubt had already taken root in her heart. The next morning, Ekon invited Chioma to his mansion, a sprawling estate on the island. Chioma was mesmerized by its grandeur. "Welcome to your new home," Ekon said with a smile. Ekon's friends were there too, greeting Chioma warmly. They seemed kind enough, but Chioma couldn't shake the unease she felt around them. Still, Ekon's respect for her beliefs reassured her. He insisted on sleeping in the guest room while she took his bed, honoring her wish to remain chaste until marriage. That night, as Chioma lay in the plush bed, she thanked God for blessing her with a man like Ekon. The next morning, she woke early, eager to impress. She went to the market and prepared a feast of fried rice and chicken for everyone. Later that afternoon, curiosity got the better of her. She decided to peek into the room where Ekon's friends often gathered. To her shock, she found them smoking, drinking, and engrossed in their laptops. Though they greeted her politely, Chioma couldn't shake her discomfort. Something about their activities seemed off, but she chose not to dwell on it. That night, however, her unease grew. Unable to sleep, Chioma decided to tidy Ekon's wardrobe. As she sorted through his clothes, she stumbled upon a small black calabash adorned with feathers. Her heart pounded as she stared at the ominous object. When Ekon entered the room moments later, she held the calabash out to him. "Ekon, what is this?" she asked, her voice trembling. Ekon laughed dismissively. "It's nothing serious, Chioma. It's just a protection charm. You know how people are. They cast evil eyes when they see you thriving." Chioma's face hardened. "No, Ekon, you don't need this. Jesus Christ is our protector. If you truly love me and want us to be together, you have to get rid of it. Chioma, it's just a precaution, nothing more." "Ekon, this isn't just about me. It's about the kind of life we want to build together. If you truly want to be with me, this has to go. It's nothing to worry about. I'll get rid of it right away." With that, he stepped outside and burned it. He returned to Chioma, brushing his hands together as if to physically show he'd rid them of any bad omens. "You see? Nothing. Are you okay now?" Chioma's tense shoulders relaxed, and she stepped forward, throwing her arms around him. "I love you so much, dear," she murmured. "I'd do anything to make you happy," Ekon replied. Ekon was about to meet Chioma's family in Igbo Ukwu village for their traditional introduction ceremony. On the morning of their journey, Chioma led a heartfelt prayer, asking for God's protection on their trip. With a convoy of friends and relatives, they began the long drive to the east. The atmosphere in the vehicles was lively, filled with cheerful chatter and laughter. When they arrived at Igbo Ukwu, the introductions went smoothly, and Chioma's family received Ekon warmly. To celebrate, Chioma decided to take Ekon and his friends to the village's museum, a treasure trove of Igbo history and culture. As they wandered through the halls of the museum, Chioma stopped before a display case housing a gleaming artifact, a golden spear with a radiant white diamond embedded at its tip. Is said to be the spear of Amadioha, the god of thunder and lightning. Legend says Amadioha himself wielded it in battle. The spear has been hidden for centuries and is believed to be protected by a curse. It's said no one can steal it without incurring Amadioha's wrath. "Village people and their traditions," he said dismissively. "There's no such thing as gods. It's just stories to scare people. That's why these villagers are so backward." Ifanye, the group's tech-savvy member, pulled out his laptop with a mischievous grin. "Let's see how much it's worth," he said, scanning the artifact with his phone. "This thing is worth $100 million. Gasps erupted from the group, but Chioma's face darkened with concern. "It doesn't matter how much it's worth. It's an ancient relic, part of our culture. It can't be sold or stolen. It belongs to the village. Don't worry, love. No one's going to touch your village's precious relic. We're not here for that. The group returned to Lagos the next morning. While Chioma busied herself with wedding plans, Ekon and his friends gathered at his mansion to finalize details for the honeymoon. Since we've been talking about a vacation, let's all travel together. I'm sure Chioma would love the idea. The group cheered at the suggestion, their spirits high, until Afanye broke the mood with a sly grin. Since we're traveling, he began, we could sell the spear there. Ekon froze, his smile fading. What spear? He asked sharply. This spear. Afanye pulled out the golden artifact from a hidden compartment. Do you know how much this is worth? $100 million. That's over 75 billion naira. How dare you steal that? Do you have any idea what this could mean if Chioma finds out? The others rushed to hold him back as Ifanye raised his hands in defense. Relax, boss. It's been 3 days and nothing's happened. Chioma said no one could steal it, but we did. There's no curse. We did this for all of us. I swear there's nothing to fear. Next time you make a stupid decision like this, you tell me first. Do you hear me? Okay, boss. Got it, Ifanye said sheepishly. Ekon and Chioma's wedding was the talk of the town. Chioma, radiant with joy, couldn't contain her excitement as she and Ekon prepared for their long-awaited honeymoon. On a bright Friday morning, they all gathered at the airport. She led the group in prayer, her voice steady as she invoked the protection of God's angels. The plane took off smoothly, and the group settled into their seats, chatting and sipping wine. Chioma's initial fear began to dissipate, replaced by awe as she gazed out of the window. But soon, dark clouds gathered and heavy rain began to fall. The plane hit turbulence, jolting her out of her reverie. Ekon laughed gently, patting her hand. It's nothing, my love, just turbulence. It happens all the time. The rain pelted the plane relentlessly, accompanied by deafening thunder and blinding flashes of lightning. Panic rippled through the cabin as passengers began to scream and cry. Even the flight attendants, usually calm and composed, struggled to maintain order. Chioma closed her eyes and began to pray fervently, her voice rising above the din. Her words were laced with urgency, pleading for divine intervention. Ekon and his friends exchanged uneasy glances. The Spirit of the Lord is telling me there is a strange object on this plane. Someone has brought something cursed aboard. Her words sent a shiver through the group. You've taken something, haven't you? The thunder, the lightning, it's a warning. We're flying over the Atlantic Ocean with an object that belongs to the god of thunder and lightning, Amadioha. Ekon sighed heavily, nodding to his friend Afanye. Reluctantly, Afanye confessed, I took the spear. It's here on the plane. Do you realize what you've done? You've endangered all these innocent lives. We must get rid of it, or we'll all perish. With no time to waste, Chioma demanded to speak to the pilot. Moments later, Chioma was ushered into the cockpit, clutching the cursed spear, pulsed with an otherworldly glow each time lightning struck. The pilots, pale with fear, listened as Chioma explained the dire situation. Breaking every protocol, the pilot opened the plane's emergency hatch just enough for Chioma to hurl the spear into the churning ocean below. The moment the spear left her hands, the storm ceased. The rain stopped, the turbulence vanished, and an eerie calm enveloped the plane. The passengers erupted into cheers and applause as the pilots regained control and safely landed the aircraft. At the airport, ambulances, police, and officials swarmed the scene, eager to uncover the truth behind the inexplicable storm. Knowing the peril Ekon and his friends could face in a foreign land, Chioma stepped forward. It's my fault. We brought a relic from my village, not knowing it could disturb the weather. But it's gone now. I threw it into the sea. The passengers and crew were simply relieved to be alive, who, grateful for their survival, pressed no charges. The group stood in stunned silence, each lost in thought, as they made their way back to the hotel. Our wife, how can we ever repay you for what you've done today? If you really want to do something for me, there's only one thing I ask. I want you all to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior and turn away from defrauding people. Ekon looked the most shaken. He stared at Chioma, his face etched with remorse, unable to hide the weight of her words. I know what you do, Ekon. I've known all along, but I chose to pray for you. I have never asked you for anything before, but today I am begging you, change your ways. Chioma, I promise. I'll turn over a new leaf. When they returned to Nigeria, they were no longer the infamous Elon Musk boys, but men transformed by faith. They ventured into legitimate businesses, leaving their fraudulent pasts behind. Honor the women in your life. They could either be your greatest blessing or curse.